Welcome back to Arsenal News TV, and today we're going to look at the Arsenal player ratings versus Chelsea, and we're going to look at how the Gunners got on individually in their Premier League clash with Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. It was a decent performance, but now it's time to look at the player ratings. So the first person on the list is Bernd Leno, and given how dominant Chelsea were, it's perhaps surprising that Bernd Leno wasn't busier on the nights but was concentrated and dependable when called upon. But there were some moments where I thought he was very sloppy when given the ball, but he did make one or two excellent saves as well. For his performance, he deserves a 6. Next up, we got Bukayo Saka, and added right wing back to the long list of positions he has played in an Arsenal shirt but struggled here. Hard to really blame him, and the decision seems even more strange when considering 3 specialist right backs were on the bench. I don't know if it was a tactical genius planned by Mikel, but something that Mikel probably made a mistake upon, but for his performance he deserves a 5. Next up, we got Rob Holding. He produced one outstanding block from Mason Mount to keep the score at 0-0 and was relatively solid throughout. Good in the air and positionally sound. It was a good performance overall. There was one moment which I really liked about Rob Holding, was that he was actually complaining when Bernd Leno done a bad pass, but is he the right man going forward? We'll have to wait and see, but for his performance he deserves a 6. Next up, we got Pablo Mari, and he had an early lapse in concentration that really should have been punished by Kai Havertz, but he got away with it. He recovered to have a decent game in the middle of a back 3, and with the likes of David Luiz probably leaving at the end of this season, Pablo Mari is someone that's seen as a more experienced centre back, so he needs to get familiar, and for his performance he deserves a 6. Next up, we got Gabriel Magalhaes, and he seems to benefit from the move to the back 3, and he looked far more switched on than in recent games. A good performance within the solidity of a tight defensive unit. And I think that left centre back position, he knows Gabriel Magalhaes, that he has very good competition with Pablo Mari. For me right now, at this moment in time, Pablo Mari is ahead of Gabriel Magalhaes, so he's someone that needs to up his game, but for his performance today, he deserves a 6. Next up, we got Kieran Tierney, and he got forward with regularity we are more accustomed to when he was fully fit and was Arsenal's main outlet on the counter. Often was let down by balls to him, but put in some decent delivery when he did manage to get forward. And if the players around him are much better to his standard and actually put nice balls for him to run on and put a cross in, but for his performance he deserves a 7. Next up, we got Thomas Partey. His first half display set the tone for how Arsenal looked to defend. He recovered the ball frequently and was positionally very good. Seemed to thrive with the Simeone-esque tactics Arteta employed on the night. And we haven't really seen Partey in the back 3, and this is something that Partey is used to with Simeone, but for his performance he deserves a 7. Next up, we got Mohamed El-Neni, and he continued in the starting lineup and looked far more solid than Dani Ceballos on the left of central midfield. His passing was a little unadventurous, but given the lack of options in front of him for much of the game, you could hardly blame him for that. And I thought El-Neni was actually outstanding, to be honest. I heard that Alan Smith did give Mohamed El-Neni the Man of the Match award, but he was very aggressive. He did do everything you expect from a midfielder. We didn't see that wowness, but he done all the basics very well. But for his performance today, he deserves a 6. Next up, we got Martin Odegaard, and he really struggled to really influence the game much. Arsenal's counter-attacking style on the nights was not really suited to his slightly less mobile style of play. And you clearly see that Martin Odegaard is someone that you give the ball and you're going to create something from that opportunity, and he likes those dead ball situations. But this was a game where you have to be very good, you have to be one-on-one, press a lot. It didn't suit Martin Odegaard, but for his performance he deserves a 6. Next up, we got Emil Smith-Rowe, and the scuffed finish for his second goal in as many games was emblematic of Arsenal's performance on the night. He had a few moments where his dribbling ability came to the fore as the Gunners looked to counter, showing maturity beyond his years. And he is just one of few players that Mikel should be grateful of. In the first time when he was brought in the first game versus Chelsea at the Emirates, he's the one that made a huge difference. Today he made a huge difference, and he's someone that Mikel needs to give a new contract ASAP, but for his performance, he deserves a 7. Next up, we got Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, and he could hardly influence the game as he was forced to spend most of the game inside his own half. His quick thinking to play Emil Smith-Rowe in for the goal was critical on the night though, and he's still someone that is still recovering from malaria. Hopefully he gets back better and fitter. I don't know what Arsenal are fighting for until the end of the season. Let's see what happens until the end of the season. But for his performance today, I think it's fair to say he deserves a 6. Now in terms of the substitutes, we first had Hector Bellerin. He got forward well when he could after coming on and looked much more comfortable than Saka in that right wing back role. And I do remember he did make a really good save where he did get an injury straight after that, where he done a very good stretch to prevent Callum Hudson-Odoi from getting an opportunity. But for his performance today, I think it's fair to say he deserves a 6. Next up, we got Alexandre Lacazette, and he didn't get a chance to offer much going forward, but had some good moments defending at set pieces. There was a vital moment where he had with Kurt Zuma, where he did head the ball. There were some moments in the corners where he was the first man up front, and he's the one that headed it out. But for his performance today, he deserves a 6. And finally, we got Callum Chambers, but he came on too late to influence the game, so he doesn't deserve a rating from me. So in terms of Arsenal, they did get a victory over Chelsea. They got the double over Chelsea in terms of the victories, and that's a very good record to break, because the last thing that happened was literally last time Mikel Arteta played. So it's good that Mikel Arteta is breaking the right records, such as our away form and the Big Six is much improved. He's doing the right things at the right time, but at the same time he's breaking the wrong records as well, like our poor home record, other things that need to be improved. He's saying it's a process. Many people have forced me to not trust the process. For me right now, it's what happens now. I just wait and see what happens. Let's see what happens in the present. I don't think about the future, what happens in the past. I just think about the present now as an Arsenal fan. But right now I'm happy with the victory over Chelsea. Hopefully that stands their chances of making it into the top 4. That'll be really good as an Arsenal fan. I don't know what it does for us in terms of the league. But other than that, guys, remain blessed. Stay tuned for the next video, and peace.